it being after 7 o'clock, we call the February 14th meeting to order, and we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I got your share.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Al. COCs, we'll start off with a continuance.
You want to do minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. The minutes for January 2nd
And the 24th.
and the 24th. Did anybody read them?
I've reviewed the January 10th minutes, and I move that we approve those as drafted.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. I didn't get to read the 24th either. Didn't it, Joe? Did you get to
Not
look at
yet,
it?
didn't.
No, I wasn't at the meeting on the 10th, but I was at the 24th. I didn't read them, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
All right, so we'll just continue those.
We gotta carry over the 24th. The continuance, Chickering Road, request to continue to
3:13.
3/13.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is, we're back on top again, Willow Street. 240, let me get these here.
So,
Let me read them for you.
Yeah, thank you.
2421639, 351 Willow Street, Muffin Realty Trust. It's been continued from 1/24/24.
all right, so at the last meeting, we discussed the need for stormwater BMP to be inspected, BMPs to be inspected and maintained if need be. Engineers from Moore and Cameron did an inspection on all proposed stormwater systems were inspected and found to be generally in good condition and not needing any maintenance at this time. They provided the facilities manager with predated inspection logs for this coming year and so that they have those on file, and incorporate that process into their operations. So that was
Try this one.
Okay, thanks. So that was the outstanding issue for 351 Willow.
Thank you. Joe, any questions?
Thank you for doing the inspections. Question CB6 and CB7, the comment on the inspection on the 9th of February is no access to the structure. Is that because of snow condition? Can't be much snow, but what was the reason why we couldn't get at it?
For the record, my name is Dan Powers. I'm an engineer with the Moore and Cameron Group. My understanding is that there were vehicles parked on top of them. That's kind of in the middle of the parking lot, so they just weren't able to get under them and to the structure. I believe it was first Defense Unit 2 was covered by the snowbank, so that one couldn't be inspected as well.
Okay, yeah. So the access to the structure, we think it's just because of temporary parking situation?
Yes.
You know, when they go to clean them, they are accessible?
Yes.
In the future? Okay.
Yes.
I'm all set, thanks.
I have no questions.
No question, Mr. Chairman.
No questions.
Okay, the only thing moving forward, tell the client that keep the reports up to date. They've been good neighbors, and we've been good toward
Yeah.
them too, so.
Yeah, they've, like Amy had said, they've been given logs for the next couple of inspections, and, our understanding from them is they're incorporating this into their routine maintenance, so.
Thank you. Any questions, have a motion?
I move we issue a COC for 351 and 335 Willow with ongoing conditions as prescribed in the order of conditions.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Want me to read it?
The next one, we did both of them at the same time, right?
Yeah,
I think it's Duncan Drive.
the next one is 242-1109, 110 Duncan Drive. Is this you?
Yes.
Okay. So this order was issued in December of 2001, and it governed the construction of a new single-family house, driveway, utilities, a well, and associated appurtenances within the 100-foot buffer zone to BBW. The driveway was constructed off an existing shared driveway that was already there. During the construction, the developer encroached into the 25-foot no disturb zone. That was handled through an enforcement order, and restoration was required. The applicant had DeRosa report on the restoration area. You have the report in your packets. That area is doing well. I have observed it myself. Plants are doing well. It's totally naturalized at this point, and there's a series of boulders in front of it. Let's see. The only deviation really was a walkway from the driveway to the front of the house. That was added, but that's out of the 50, and overall impervious coverage for the site was actually 34 square feet less than what was approved. The site is stable and I have no issues. I'd recommend issuing a full and complete certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions as prescribed.
Thank you. Joe?
Restorations areas have gone through the required number of growing seasons?
Oh, yeah, they've been in for years.
And are so well established?
Yes,
All
yep,
set.
totally naturalized.
Jack?
No questions.
Al?
No questions.
Marissa?
No questions.
Motion?
I move that we grant the certificate of compliance for 242-1109, 110 Duncan Drive.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next one is 242-1770, 456 Summer Street.
Alrighty. This order was issued in November of 2019, and it governed the construction of a detached garage, driveway extension, infiltration trench for the garage, and perimeter fencing. Work was going to take place within the 100-foot buffer zone to the BBW outside the 25, and the garage was going to be originally 51 feet and then modified to 60 feet from the wetland. An in-ground pool was proposed behind the house, which was pretty much outside of the buffer zone. The order was modified twice. First, for the pool construction entrance, or construction access was flipped from Summer to Summer Street from the Farnham side. And then the second modification involved the construction of a pavilion associated with the pool, a shed, planter box, and then shifting the garage closer to the house or further away from the wetland. The pool, the shed, and the pavilion have been constructed. The area of tree removal that had occurred, which triggered this whole order, has been restored to lawn and is totally stabilized. And the garage was not built, so they decided to eliminate that part of the project from the scope. So the site's stable, and I have given the green light to remove erosion controls. The homeowner's here this evening if you have any questions for her.
Thank you. Joe?
Just one question of more of administrative. So the garage that's not built by issuing the compliance, we're issuing compliance on what only was built. How does that get recorded at the registry? Your summary get,
I can indicate that on,
On the
it'll be a
certificate
complete,
form.
yes, I can.
just
Yes.
annex that,
Yes.
those statements be onto it?
Yep.
That's all I have, thank you.
Jack?
The certification letters by a professional land surveyor, does that meet our requirements?
Yes.
Okay, it does.
PLS or
No other
PE,
questions?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No questions.
Motion?
No questions.
Motion?
I move that we issue the certificate of compliance for 242-1770, 456 Summer Street.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
All set. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
You can send me a letter or?
Yeah, you'll get the certificate of compliance, which needs to get recorded at the registry.
Right.
And then once you give me the recording information, we can process bond release.
Okay, but I have to go to the
Yeah.
registry like I did last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll get that to you next week.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Great, thanks for coming.
Next one is 242-1750 One Oak Ave.
All right, this order issued in March of 2019 governed drainage improvements on the subject property and also involves some work on the abutting trustees of reservations property. In August of 2022, the order was amended and revised the scope of work, which there was going to be work in the BBW itself. That was eliminated. And then she proposed grading around the house so that drainage would flow around the house instead of into it. There was a crushed stone infiltration trench installed along the edge of the roadway in front of the house that has a perforated pipe and then flows to the wetland on the house side. And the opposite side of Oak, there's an intermittent stream that enters under the culvert under the Oak Avenue, and they propose to provide riprap armor protection on the slopes, and a shed was proposed, and that was really the major parts of the project. The engineer noted deviations that included additional riprap on the opposite side of Oak, which I believe is actually beneficial because it's going to hold up to traffic, car traffic and plowing. And this has been in place since the fall of 2022, I believe. I think. Yeah, but it had all of 2023 to get tested, and so we had some pretty good storms, and it looks fine. So I have no issues with issuing a certificate of compliance.
Great. Hey. Joe? Joe, any questions?
No questions.
Jack?
Just generally, what was the deviation on the riprap that appeared to be an
Well,
improvement?
it's just a little bit more coverage than what was proposed, so let me, so this was the approved plan. So it showed along the edge there.
Amy, according to the letter that's attached, it says 165 square feet of stone was installed, 75 was approved. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. So, but a lot of it was along the edge of Oak Ave, if you look at the approved and,
Okay, that's my only question.
yeah.
I have no questions.
I don't have any questions either.
John's abstention. So, any more questions? Motion?
I'll move that we issue a COC with ongoing conditions as prescribed in the order of conditions.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous, and one abstention, Jane.
What abstention? Oh, okay. Sean
Thank you for your
abstains.
time tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Small projects. 323 Waverly Road.
333.
Oh, 333, excuse me.
Okay. All right. All right, so this project is a continuance from the last meeting. It involves installing geolock wall anchors to support existing sections of the foundation at the front of the house, and interior perimeter footing drains to connect to a sump pump. The commission asked for some additional information at the last meeting related to pump capacity, soil types, and anticipated flow rates. I was able to provide some soil information for this site, hydrologic group B, so they're decent in terms of infiltration. The contractor has provided the commission with the specs on the pump system and provided two options for the final discharge point. So last time we were looking at a yard grate and riprap apron. They provided an alternative. Or as an alternative, a little bit more piping and a subsurface level spreader with crushed stone. Contractor is here this evening if you have questions for her.
Joe? Excuse me, Sean?
No question.
Joe?
Yeah, the question that I don't want to get tripped up on too much of the technicality. What I had was a concern for a point source discharge and to the terrain that can be relatively
Right.
steep and breaking away.
Yeah.
And what I didn't want to have is just any point source creating erosion.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
You know, the amount of water and how it gets there and how fast it gets there really just results in control the velocity.
Right, exactly.
And that's all I wanted to look at. So does this do that? We think it does?
Yeah, I mean, I think either would. I think this option, I mean, it's a little more trenching in the yard, and it wouldn't be in the no disturb zone by the time you got out to this 20 feet and that, but, I mean, it would be subsurface, so, but.
So it's going to discharge to an infiltrator, and we believe the soils are adequate to just have it
Yeah,
soak in.
there's decent soils.
So eliminating the point source.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jack?
Yeah, doesn't it say it discharges to a riprap apron in one case and then a level spreader in the other case?
right, so this,
Okay, those
this
aren't
one.
So those
Well, they're
infiltrators.
like two different options, basically, and I thought maybe the commission might have a preference over one or the other. So the one that's up on the screen, there'll be a 3-inch perforated PVC, 10-foot long, 6 inches below grade, with 1.5-inch crushed stone around it. That's one option.
So what's proposed?
Well,
I think she proposed both, and we're supposed to pick one.
At this property, I think that the riprap apron is more suitable. She's gonna have to extend that just discharge line, obviously add cost to her contract, and then we're kind of setting it in a strange place where she's got patio furniture out there and everything. If we do the apron, it keeps it coming out of the side of the house, it keeps it at the 10 feet, and there's not a lot going on over there in her yard, so.
yeah.
And your notes said that the riprap apron would be 47 feet from the stream.
Yes, so it's farther away.
That sounds good to me. I have no more questions.
So the riprap apron stays further away.
Yes, it does.
Eventually get grassed over.
That's right, you gotta start somewhere.
What is the topography of the lawn after the pictures, I guess? Does it continue sloping down?
I don't believe
It's
it
not,
does.
it's not like it's,
It's not significant.
it's just a gentle slope and then,
We figured that out before the last meeting. It was like, there were two properties being
Yeah.
addressed. One was 7, one was approaching 10%.
yeah, that's probably, the
I
10
think
is
this
probably,
I think this is probably the 7.
yeah,
Okay.
so. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the riprap's probably a better option, otherwise you'll probably end up with breakout on the hill anyway.
yeah.
and-
Okay.
What's that?
Yep.
Okay. No more questions, motion?
Well, let me ask, I think there are some questions. Are we supposed to make a finding first of what this is? Is this a small project? We have to affirm that?
Yes.
So I would move that we consider this to be a small project.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's
Doesn't
unanimous.
matter which type we call it, just simply that it is type K?
I would say other,
Yeah,
L.
it's K, is that it?
I would agree that it's another. And,
Yeah, under L, sorry.
now, as a small project, do we direct the applicant which discharge point we want?
I think we should
We should, right?
choose,
Right.
yes.
So,
The riprap apron.
I think she's in agreement with us too.
pardon me?
I think she's in agreement with us
We
too.
should,
Okay, I
we
just
should
want to
say
make
it, we should say it on the record.
sure. Yeah, somebody needs to get it on the record as to what the prescribed one
That's
is.
okay, you've considered a small project other, and, so I move that we approve the project with conditions, is
Yeah.
that we would accept the riprap discharge location, 47 feet away from the wetland, and that the applicant continue to maintain that in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it does grass over and grows between the stones, that's not a bad thing. It's basically, it's a armored reinforced grass swale, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But what we want to do is prevent erosion, so I think
Erosion.
that does that.
yes.
So the other one, I think we take off the table.
Yep.
And the other conditions you had were,
Oh, just erosion controls, pre-construction, pre-activity, I inspect erosion controls, and then post-construction to remove erosion controls.
all right, so my recommendations include all those additional, my motion, all those additional recommendations.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
Great.
Next one is, is it 2 or 3, Oak Ave,
4, okay.
4.
4, okay. All right. All righty. So this project involves installing smart jacks and supplemental beams to support existing floor joist system beneath the house, which is a crawl space, literally, and installing a sump pump system that will discharge via a drain pipe and terminal discharge point in the backyard. Commission asked for the same type of information as you did for 333 Waverly. Soils are a little more challenged here, but it's a lot of wetlands surrounding it. We had asked them to do a proposed design for the discharge point, and they're putting forth 10 feet of pipe, 3-inch PVC from the back of the house to a 10-foot perforated PVC placed 6 inches below grade and surrounded by 1.5-inch crushed stone. So this property is flat as a pancake. So I'm not necessarily worried about erosion at all. So I think the subsurface might make sense just to give it maybe some capacity to infiltrate, but I don't know.
You said the soils.
I know, so, I mean, if it's the stone or maybe the stone creates a reservoir, or, I don't know. I think it's just gonna, when it gets capacity, it's just gonna become a little ponded area in the back. If it gets to the point that there's so much of it.
There really isn't much you can do there.
And if it's going to have a issue with something nearing failure, you'd rather it be at the surface and visible than buried underneath the ground and not knowing it's doing it until it's totally saturated. I think the surface discharge makes sense.
Okay.
Any questions? Sean, you have any questions?
Nothing that wasn't discussed the last time we had this.
You all set, Joe?
Yep.
Jack?
Yeah, I think the discharge point is 21 feet from the wetland. Is there another layout that would provide a discharge point outside the no-disturb zone?
Yeah. So the original plan was to do the 10 feet out from the foundation, do the yard grate, and then we could put stone around it.
Jack?
And that would keep it 27 feet and 26 feet from the wetland.
If you're familiar with this area, it's wet constantly. I wouldn't even want to guess where the water table is. 6 inches, a foot, maybe?
Okay.
The reason it's a crawl space.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
so-
yeah.
It's wet.
So we think this design is better?
I think any design is, it is what it is, but for this case, the homeowners, the water's gonna end up, versus having a hose just directly discharging. But it's better, this design here with the stone and at least maybe we get some infiltration, not much, but maybe some. Versus a point discharge with a hose or a pump or whatever. So I
Okay.
think
All right.
No,
the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, but that's not what you described. You described, it sounds like it's just going to, it's going to be more than 25 feet away,
The original plan,
the original plan.
yes.
Is that what we're talking about? That's still on the table or no?
No.
It's a 21-foot discharge.
So why do we want to go closer?
I think what we could do is, we could shift that 10-foot section of pipe that's perpendicular away from the side of the house, or just away, and keep that disturbance out. So it's more like an L as opposed to a T. We can do that. And then that would remove it from the 25.
Yeah. We'd probably go 10 and 10.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are we going to call that?
That's gonna be
Got to give it a name.
the
Final.
Well, that's my intention and hope, but for whoever offers the motion, they have to call it something.
But is that subsurface, are you talking about subsurface, or are you talking about a
Where
surface feature?
where it terminates.
Level spreader.
Is it going to be a level spreader?
That's what it says.
Or is it going
Yeah,
to, or is
well,
it going
this-
to, or is it going to discharge underground and
But
saturate?
this would be subsurface
Subsurface,
that we
okay.
have up here. This is the latest. And what I'm saying is, instead of having it be a T, it could be an L, and the second 10 feet can go this way, not that way.
Okay, so we're modifying the subsurface, the termination of the subsurface?
Or just the layout of it.
Okay, just as long as somebody, whoever goes there to put it
Yeah.
in.
Subsurface level spreader to be an L
Whoever
as
installs
opposed
it
to a
that wasn't
T.
here at the meeting
Right,
needs to have directions.
right.
Well, isn't there two options? Isn't there the subsurface option and then the surface option?
Yes,
I thought I heard,
there is.
my apologies if I missed it,
No,
but I
that's all
thought I
right.
heard a third option.
No, there's two well, there's two options. You could do what we just did for 333 Waverly, which is 10 foot of pipe,
Yep,
a yard grate with stone,
yep,
and that's surface.
yep.
This one is the subsurface level spreader that we could turn into an L as opposed to a T to stay out of the 25. So,
Okay.
I don't know.
I know what it is.
So just to document the plan of record, we should maybe sketch the changes in an initial or
I
something?
would say so.
That's exactly what I was gonna suggest. I mean,
Yeah, there needs to be,
pretty technical.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what-
you understand why I'm struggling,
Yeah.
so,
I mean-
so we're gonna modify the plan of record for the applicant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll offer the first motion again. I move that we consider this to be a small project under the term other.
L,
Do you have any more questions?
I second that. Other. It's an L, an L for an L.
For
Time
discussion.
out, time out, we have another commissioner question.
No, I'm okay with the small project. I guess I'm just confused as to what we're gonna approve for the design.
That's what we're about to discuss
Okay,
again.
all right.
That'll be the
Thanks.
I'm not
second,
following.
Okay,
so that'll be the second motion. But
perfect.
first, we have to give it a name, so you have a motion and a second for small.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Now we condition it.
Now, I would move that we authorize our administrator to modify the record plan using the subsurface proposal and putting it into an L shape.
About how far away from the wetland will that bring it?
That'll be 27 and 26. It'll be
So
the
no
same.
closer than 25.
Right.
So we-
Oh,
so-
yeah, right.
So no.
So that's the motion, is that discharge point be no closer than
closer.
25 feet?
And
It gives them that flexibility.
And that's the motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Just for future reference, you got out of jail free this time. These are RDAs,
Oh, I appreciate it.
so.
Noted.
We very, very seldom condition small projects.
I'm learning here. I'm a structural now. So this is
So
new waters for me, literally.
No, no
But I
problem.
appreciate it.
so
No
next
problem.
time there'll be RDAs.
Okay,
Thank you.
understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. So I'll be in touch with the permits, and then we'll get together with pre-constructions. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, next one is 242.
1882?
Well, we got
You gotta
continuances.
do the continuances, right?
Three, can't read, what's the back?
Yeah, let me read them for you.
Yeah, I can't see, I'm trying, but.
Under notices of intent, 2421878 30 Ann Road is continued from 124. They are requesting to continue to 22824.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. 2421869 674 Turnpike, continued from 12/13/23, requesting to continue to 2/28/24.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous as well. 2421882 350 Winthrop Avenue, Market Basket.
Oh, no, that's not. Okay, I just want to put the plans
Yeah,
out.
Here, you want this one?
Joe's got it.
I think Sean probably,
Send that.
Yeah, so I printed out, so you could share, because they're just
We're good.
bulky. Okay. Come on. It's, what? This one? Oh.
For some reason, I don't load any. It's, I think it's
I
just
think
okay.
I-
And then you can open it from there and you can
Got
edit
it.
it.
Thanks.
Because bottom of it, and then, something like that should come.
Come on.
Because it did it to me today when I was.
Yeah.
All right, so it should.
Oh, okay, so it's starting.
I think
Yeah. Ah, there we go. Thanks. It's so big, it's gonna take a bit.
Yeah.
But let me give Brian Dundon, the PE for the project, the floor, and he can give you a rundown on where we're at while I do this.
Sure.
Thanks.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Brian Dundon, project manager with R.J. O'Connell and Associates. I have with me tonight my colleague, Mr. Tom Liddy from Lucas Environmental, professional wetland scientist. We're here tonight as a follow-up to the January 10th Conservation Commission meeting, in which we gave a full presentation on the redevelopment plans that are proposed for the North Andover Mall. At the conclusion of that meeting, we were still waiting for the town's peer reviewer, Horsley Witten, to issue their review letter as it pertains to their review of the stormwater management system. We have since received that letter, as well as additional comment letters from the town agency departments, planning, conservation, fire, etc. What we have done is we have addressed those comments, revised the plans and the supporting stormwater management report, the operation and maintenance plan, and flood storage calculation sheets. Submitted it all back in on around February 5th, I think a week ago this month. Horsley Witten had a chance to review the revised submission. They provided a letter back to the Planning and Conservation Commission departments indicating that we have adequately addressed their comments raised in their letter. So as of tonight, I am happy to report that I believe that we have addressed all outstanding comments that were raised by either the town peer reviewers' comments and the town departments, with one exception. In discussing the issue with Amy, it occurred during a site visit or a site walk that occurred in January. She felt it was appropriate to have an open discussion with the commission to best proceed on how to address the issue. The issue at hand is probably easier on the C2 drawing A, which is the grading and drainage plan. I'm not sure if the commission is aware, but at the back of the mall, there is two twin 36-inch drain lines that outlet into what we have identified as the A-series wetland line. This drain pipe, this drainage network or system is encapsulated within a 30-foot drain easement that runs towards the back of the site towards Waverly Road. It's actually in favor of the Roman Catholic Church. It actually it's a discharge point where runoff from the cemetery across Waverly Road, their drainage is collected in an underground drain pipe, goes underneath Waverly Road, as well as some runoff from Waverly Road, and runs down the back of the slope and outlets into the A-series wetland delineation line. What has been discovered or encountered during a site visit is that at the outlet point, there is some erosion scouring occurring along the bank or the edge of the wetland line that resulted in a section of pipe being undermined, and it fell off. So it needs to be repaired, as well as the side slope along the project side really needs to be stabilized. Since it's encapsulated in an easement and it's owned by a subsidiary of the Roman Catholic Church, Market Basket is amenable to making the repairs on their own, and they would accept as a condition, should the commission grant an order of conditions, that we would prepare a repair plan or a sketch plan showing the repairs, the limits of the repairs, and how we would stabilize that, and then submit it back to Amy for review and eventually approval. Once we have received the approval on that, we would then proceed to perform the work. We just think that for the interest of moving the project along, because Market Basket is interested and anxious to begin work this spring, we think it's going to be a very laborious process to try to track down who at the Catholic Church is responsible for property management.
Never get the answer.
I agree with you.
That's a good
My
one.
lifetime.
I like that. That's a good one.
So we offered to do the work.
Subsidiary of the Catholic.
Yeah.
So we offered to do the work in cooperation with the town. So in summary, that's where we are tonight. I am more than happy to address any comments the commission may have.
Thank you. Sean, any questions?
No comments or
Joe?
questions at this point?
No, I think it's a very ambitious undertaking. It's a, integral essential service in our community to have, reliable shopping and circulation down here has always been an issue. And I think this is looking to address all of those things. It just happens to be surrounded by wetlands.
Yes.
And that's how we come into this. I wasn't here on the January 10th meeting. I was indisposed, but I did review a little of it. I kind of try to dive into the plans and stay on top of it. But I do have some questions that may have been answered in the last meeting.
Sure.
So along the front, where there's the swale, there was a back and forth with the state DOT. Do you remember that project? That kind of hasn't gone anywhere, and there was some improvements along that swale. This looks like to incorporate those.
Before my time.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of it.
Oh.
Not related to the
You talking about the swale
culvert.
out front?
Out in front, yeah, but it looks like it's part of, these things, all those check dams, that's all part of this project now, correct? Those aren't there yet.
That is
These
correct. So
don't.
if I may clarify, this is our erosion control plan. So to your
Oh.
point, these check dams, this is an intermediate erosion control slope with a series of check dams to ensure that construction-related runoff does not get to that intermittent stream. The final design, which if we go to the C2, Amy, you may be able to see it clearly. We have a series, since the topography of the property slopes from the storefronts towards Winthrop Ave, there is no provisions, there is no stormwater structures within that parking lot facility. So the only way that we can intercept stormwater runoff and have it treated is to install a grass-lined swale that will, with curb breaks along the perimeter edge of the curb with riprap stone to, looks like it serves as a level spreader to slow the velocity down, prevent erosion scarring. And then it was sloped towards the left end of the sheet towards a sediment forebay, and then it would outlet into a wet basin prior to its discharge to the intermittent stream. And what this does is this treatment train allows to heavy sediments to be removed from the stormwater runoff in the grass channel swale. Additional pollutant removals happen at the sediment forebay, and then a third level of removal, both from a TSS and a phosphorus perspective, occur in the wet basin, and then eventually it outlets into the intermittent stream. That same approach was taken on the opposite side. It's bisected by the exit drive, so that same approach was taken on the left-hand side of that exit driveway to treat the runoff from the storefronts on the mall side,
So
on the north side.
that's a great summary, so thank you. But what I'm remembering is this is now the fourth project in recent history. One was at the high sign marquee entrance
Yep.
further to the south, and there was a culvert crossing there. That was done in mind with what was the second crossing down here in this treatment area, and the reconfiguration, thank God, they've actually plowed snow properly like 2 years in a row now. So this area is being reserved for natural purposes as opposed to snow storage. And then lastly was the DOT project coming down 114 that also had drainage improvements tying into the swale. All three of those things, up until this discussion, supposedly were integrated together into one holistic design. And I'm not certain if these approaches here stay consistent with that overall design for that bigger project, which is still on DOT's books as a project to be done,
Start in the spring.
starting in the spring, okay. So I'm not sure if this includes that work, because that included some of the swale work that's in here, and whether it's consistent with that or not, I don't know, seeing at this table.
It does not include the pending DOT work. We're unfamiliar with the DOT improvement work. And the reason why I say that is because if DOT is going to do any work, it's going to be on the opposite side of the parking lot, because the intermittent stream is kind of at the midpoint. So what we've taken is incorporated in stormwater BMPs to manage parking lot runoff from the project side. So that is on the project side. Then you have the intermittent stream, and then you have Winthrop Ave. So if there is, and then which is the DOT jurisdictional road. So my guess would be is that whatever stormwater treatment improvements are being proposed by Mass DOT, they would occur between the intermittent stream and Winthrop Ave and not,
I'm going to stand up if you
Sure.
just, because it's easier to point rather than describe. This side of the highway,
yes,
that catch basin, I think there is. I'm on-
There's catch basin here.
Well, it's these
One
two
here.
here coming to a manhole
Oh,
and
yeah.
discharging across into that swale. This whole area was built upon a discharge elevation that reverberated all the way through the design. And that was done both with DEP, excuse me, with DOT's coordination with Market Baskets Engineering firm at that time. It was a different firm, not you guys.
yes.
What I can't tell is whether this is still consistent with that original design. Because if this project is ready to go, and they're about to bid, and if these drainage improvements don't match, there's a problem on both projects.
No, what I see on that drawing is that those two catch basins you noted, they have discharge points directly into the intermittent stream. If you,
Yep.
there's a flared end, see,
Right
those
there.
are direct discharges. So whatever runoff from Turnpike Street is collected in those basins, they are going directly to the intermittent stream, or the perennial stream, excuse me.
So they'd be on the other side, Joe.
So we're on the opposite side, so it is tied in, but it's not directly connected to our project. It's already been, that piece of it's already been built. As you see
Yeah,
where
it's almost like their proposal is running parallel to.
As you're driving down
Parallel, but not
114, heading towards Merrimack College from 495,
Yeah,
there is a beaver dam wetland to the right.
on the right.
Across the street.
There is a culvert that goes
Yes.
across, picks up this street drainage, which discharges into this design. And all of
Yeah.
that was being done as part of the DOT work. And I don't think I'm seeing that that design there accounts for that discharge coming into this well.
The state's discharge, you're saying?
Yeah, that beaver pond goes right underneath 114, right there, and right into this well.
they used
And
to
I'm not seeing it on the drawing.
They used to
correct me.
flood all the time.
What?
That used to
Shouldn't-
flood all the time.
But it doesn't anymore.
Shouldn't
Yeah,
the
'cause the
stormwater
beavers hold the
management,
water.
shouldn't the stormwater analysis and third-party review have considered
Well,
both sources?
So they didn't grow up here, and they don't drive by it like we always do, and we know how it works, and we've seen it flood. Review designers wouldn't have necessarily seen that.
Yeah, well.
What I'm not seeing on
asking
the
the
plan is
question.
I'm not seeing that discharge point here, and we know it goes there. And I do know that the last time this well came before us and these treatment areas came before us, that whole discussion was on the table with DOT, and it was resolved as part of one discussion.
Right.
And I'm not seeing that at this point.
Yeah,
Joe, I'm just confused as to what
I agree
DOT
with you,
project you're
but
talking about.
Their calculations are on the opposite side.
Yes,
So the grades, from what I understand, are staying the same.
that's correct.
So,
What I'm saying is a part of the DOT project and the earlier filing with this was going down. That treatment swale was dropping down an elevation a couple of feet in order to receive the waters coming underneath the street.
that's fine. That still doesn't do anything with them.
Makes the DOT discharge point lower than this. How does it get into the treatment swale if it's lower?
No, our treatment swale doesn't connect into the
Right,
to the perennial
it's
stream.
parallel with it.
It conveys water, it intercepts the water, and it flows from a right to left direction to a sediment forebay, which outlets into the wetland basin. I think it's wetland basin 2. So our
Yeah.
water is intercepted, it's not going to the perennial. Right now, in
So
today's
it drops
world,
off the parking lot, treatment area, and drops again into the
No.
brook?
no.
No,
It comes off the parking lot into a treatment swale,
Mm-hmm.
and then it flows from right to left, this way,
Yeah.
to a sediment forebay, which fills up and then outlets into the wet basin 2, and then that fills up, and then it outlets into the stream right before the culvert crossing on the exit-only driveway.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to say, I probably wasn't saying it clearly. The proposed treatment swale for this project and the highway, that intermittent stream is between those two, and therefore lower, because this all
Yes.
comes down this way. Let me show you this right here. Everything shoots off the parking lot, comes here, moves all the way down to here,
Yes.
gets treated, and dumps into the
Yeah.
brook.
Yes,
The brook itself is down here.
Right,
Yes,
which is lower.
yep.
If
Correct.
they're not changing that, then it simply matters whether DOT's grades are gonna alter that brook or not. Because I think the last time around, the two project, not, this project wasn't even envisioned. The treatment swale project and the DOT project were being done in concert with the same design. Doesn't matter, what's gonna happen here is if we approve this, DOT project gets ready to move, we usually order conditions to it, right?
No,
That one that just
they,
went.
they ever came did they come before us?
No, they're still in
No. But they're supposed to
design
start in the
phase
spring.
and,
I know the
well, I don't know
project's
about that.
advertised.
I don't,
Huh?
The
no.
project's advertised, so it means
I
it's
know.
up for bid.
Yeah, but I guess they're not gonna consult conservation.
Well, they
Never
know they
know.
have to come before us, but
Uh-huh.
they're gonna be coming for it. Yeah, they're gearing up to file with us.
So should someone be making contact with DOT?
Well, just simply saying that if we act on this alone and don't think of the bigger picture, like a master planning perspective, if we don't look at the bigger picture, we approve this for what it's worth face value, DOT's gonna be forced to deal
That
with it on
should,
their own.
that should be either the responsibility of the applicant or DOT. It's not, we only deal with what's in front of us.
No, it should be DOT, because
yes.
But my point is, we can only work with what, the four corners of what we have.
These guys are right, they're not putting any
That's
more
what I'm saying,
water than it's there now. And as a matter of fact, they're pushing it down away from.
We're putting
that-
less because we're
less.
we're
And
eliminating about
with their
55,000.
Yeah, I mean, they're-
influxing the water into, if they do get it in that swale, it's gonna be it's gonna be down, not where the catch basins are.
And that is what differs on this plan from the last one, because they were trying to do, doing everything right adjacent to that brook, intermittent stream.
Well,
I'm
it's
all
actually
set
not
on that
intermittent.
perspective.
It's not intermittent, is it? No, it's perennial, right. It's not intermittent. That stream that runs along 114
perennial.
is
The-
perennial.
The unnamed stream?
Yes, it's an unnamed perennial stream
Yeah,
that dumps
yeah.
into the Shawshene.
We had multiple discussions about that.
I don't remember us classifying that as.
I've seen it on plans, every single plan that you have, has come before you, it's,
Yeah, we took a while for them to admit that it was a perennial stream.
Actually, they did a stream stats calculation on that and proved, because the upper reaches go all the way up to the Franklin School.
Right, because
Yeah.
because at the time when they did the culvert at the entranceway,
That's where it all came.
So they should name it the Royal Crest Brook then, because that's really where it's all coming from.
So this project results in over an acre of reduction in impervious surface
The-
and increase
What's the size of the reduction?
borderland subject to
What's the
flooding.
It's about 55,000 square feet in total.
good reduction?
Yes.
Yeah, decent. So, I mean, maybe, I have a draft decision, just in case. So I don't know if, and maybe it's, one of the conditions is that
No,
the
they-
applicant
they
needs to
approved by,
consult with DOT to see if
so
it
planning's
changes.
done?
Planning is just about there. They have a draft, they're gonna have a draft decision at their next meeting, and the only outstanding issue that they have is noise abatement for the rear loading docks for the neighbors. But other than that,
So if we continue this to 28 and had the decision ready then, it would hold these guys up, right?
That is, yes, correct.
yeah, I mean, we'll be ready tonight. I mean, I have a decision ready tonight if you want, but if you,
Well,
but I mean, I,
have no problem.
okay. It's just,
I'm just thinking of
I just gotta think about the.
quorum
planning board meeting
integrity.
right then and
Right.
changing something.
Typically, we don't until planning has their.
Exactly.
Hey,
We use
If
the
noise
last-
abatement in the
right?
back, which is where a lot of the wetlands are, what if the planning board says, fence, sound barrier, we don't know what they're gonna say.
Right.
If that's an open issue, it could affect us. So we should leave it
so
open.
I would continue until next meeting, but you have the decision ready
you have the
anyway.
decision ready anyways,
I
yes.
do have a question. We have a question on the back swale part?
I have just one question. It was, last time this was before us, there was a discussion about some common sense. It related to a fence height on
The south
what,
side.
eastern side of the,
Over here.
South and east.
yeah. Because there's like a 4-foot fence there, and the prevailing wind goes down that long parking lot and blows every bit of trash into the wetland to the right. And We had mentioned that you should consider increasing the height of that fence to prevent the amount of trash going into the wetland from the parking lot. It's an existing condition, and I was just wondering if there was a response to that.
Yeah, that, we did, that was a comment that came out of the original January 10th meeting. The way, after discussions with Market Basket on it, what they would like to do, what their preference right now is to leave the fence as is, but increase their site maintenance and trash pickup to mitigate the excess trash that is being blown over. And, if that is not working, then come up with an alternative measure to that. But now, right now, their preference, again, being adjacent, that fence line is
Yeah.
pretty sensitive to the wetland area over there. The preference is to leave it alone.
We don't want to design your project for you. It sounds like what you're proposing is probably going to be more expensive than a taller fence, but
I keep going back to the problem with a project with lots of, a property with lots of permitting history is every time we hear we're gonna clean up, do a better job policing the grounds, picking up fugitive litter, it never happens. And we've heard of promised on 2 other projects before. In this area in particular, like at the front entrance, we talked about it before and the promise was, we're gonna do a better job. They haven't. So I'm all on board with Jack on that. We should order a fence be higher. We'll order it.
Your comments are well taken because they've been echoed at the planning stages as well. There has been some turnover, I guess, at Market Basket. Typically, what happens on these types of sites where Market Basket or a subsidiary of Market Basket owns the property, the store manager is responsible for the general maintenance and upkeep in compliance with whether it's a wetland-related condition or a planning board-related condition, being in compliance with that. The former, there is a new store manager, he's just been in there within the last 2 months. The former store manager was not aware of any of these conditions, so he was not taking care of the site. Based on, since our application was filed, we have had some abutters from Waverly Road come out to the planning board meetings and express their concerns and frustrations about being ignored. And as a result of, we were in front of the planning board last week. We have taken proactive measures to become in compliance with the conditions, and we've received positive feedback. So I think what Market Basket's doing is they are aware of these issues. They thought they were being taken care of, but now they are a little bit more keen and proactive on understanding the conditions that are in front of them and being in compliance with them. So I would like to think that from a good faith effort standpoint, that increasing the trash pickups on a regular basis may be a prudent way to see if it's working and minimizing the amount of trash being blown on the south end of the site.
Asked and answered.
okay, yeah, you know.
Question, just one question.
Sure.
Wouldn't that be part of the O&M plan?
Can be.
It is.
It is part of the O&M
Yes.
plan. Maintenance over the fence is part of your O&M plan.
Trash pickup on a daily basis is in the O&M plan. There is an O&M plan that was approved for this property as part of the 219 work that was performed to correct some ADA deficiencies. What we have done is taken that approved O&M plan and expanded upon it to incorporate in the maintenance and inspection requirements for the new best management practices that are being integrated into the stormwater management design for the project.
Getting annual reports that show the O&M plans being
Not
met?
at the moment.
I didn't think so.
So we can, but really, this is not a difficult problem to solve. We can condition whatever we need in addition to the O&M plan. This is really very simple.
Fugitive trash is an ongoing issue, and the higher the fence, the less opportunity for that to occur. I agree with John's question, I'm calling you John of 30 years. I agree with his perspective on it, it's a legitimate issue, and I think, you know, O&M is wonderful, we're not getting annual reports, it also says you shall submit annual reports, so, you know, those things are only as good as they're read and they're complied with.
Right.
I think the best thing you do is a first line of defense is give you a solid physical barrier, give it a fence that's higher. Snow surge over there when it was a problem a couple of years ago, put the boulders in was an enforcement order. Boulders went in, it's working. So I think it's a great idea.
And this is a similar condition to what we have in other projects. You know, if they're proposing to use the O&M plan to prevent the trash from going off that side of the what do you call it? I call it the east side, but you say the south side of the project, then, you know, I don't know for sure that a fence would do any better. It makes logical sense that it would. I don't know what height would be required. I'm not going to try to redesign your project. But I think the issue has been covered by multiple boards in North Andover, and if you've got a way to stop the trash from going over there, I guess it's worth it to give you a chance to do that. But it's a violation if trash goes from your property to then pollutes the wetlands off your property. So if it doesn't work, you know, there's an awareness out there that, you know, you tried and you're failing, so, you know, it could be an enforcement action in the future, is what I'm saying.
Understood. And your concerns are being echoed by the planning department, too. They have got fail-safe, they're integrating in, as Amy alluded to, some noise conditions into their decision-making, and they're requiring 6-month monitoring, noise monitoring reports, and also an update, so, and an update on how it's progressing. So, to your point, the post-construction management, after post-construction, the management and the operation of the site is going to become critical, and is critical, and there are stopgap measures being integrated into decisions to hold the feet to the fire. And you're right, if the trash is still a problem on the south end of the site post-construction, then I have no doubt that the commission will be calling us in and saying, what are you going to do to correct it? And we're going to need to come up with a better plan, and maybe at that time that's the fence, who knows, to mitigate the issue. My understanding is that from our last hearing too, that a lot of the trash is plastic bags, and I think I was told that plastic bag issue generated from the shopping center should be alleviated because of the ban on that stuff going forward that's going to be integrated in.
From some of the stores.
Yeah, from some of the stores. So that alone, plus the sensitivity to the cleaning, I think, would go a long way in trying to resolve that issue. But yeah, if it's not working, then I have no doubt. It's the same with the planning board, is that we'll be called in to address the issue. And we'll need to work with the
But Jack,
board
you're looking
on
for a
that.
fence there, right?
I am.
Yeah,
I am too.
And we can condition this.
I think we
So
should.
this doesn't really matter what
Yeah,
it is.
people
It's got nothing to do
shopping,
with noise, by the way.
Well, there is a fence, there is a fence there. What Jack's talking about
It's
is.
about as tall as this table.
Yeah.
They have a 4-foot fence, and Jack's saying double.
10-foot vinyl
Yeah,
fence.
yeah, so
Solid.
there's already a fence there.
Yeah.
And there is less plastic flying around, and maybe a more robust O&M plan. It'll all work.
nobody is walking out of a grocery store with grocery bags, emptying them out and throwing them in the air.
Right.
The
Well,
bags are not the problem, it's the trash.
I've seen some interesting things in
The
that parking lot.
trash coming out of the parking lot, period.
There
It's
are a lot of
litter,
bags.
simply litter.
Yeah.
You know, Pandemic was all face masks in the
Two
gloves.
things. One is the drainage behind the building. That's a no-brainer. You're doing your construction work now, why wouldn't you do it now? So, they would have to do probably an amendment to the project, or you gonna make two separate projects, or?
Well, they wanted to
They don't have a-
condition it that they'd be allowed to come back with a.
They don't have a design right now, so they'd come back with a modification.
I'm
probably?
willing to bet they already have a design.
We don't. I don't have, because we were chasing down,
The Pope?
we are trying to chase down the entity as to at least make contact with them, and it's not going well. So I'm going to leave it. So again, in the interest of keeping the project moving forward, and understand, had we known about this before we filed our notice of intent, obviously it would be included in the application. So what we thought would be amenable to the board is to have a condition which states that we would come up with a repair plan that the commission / Amy could review and comment on prior to we implement the repair.
Okay, well, then they put
project.
a modification on this plan, on this one, right? Instead of making
what-
a file.
What's the motivation to actually have that other project actually move forward and get completed? I mean, this is gonna stand alone, as it probably should, but there's no assurance that another piece ever gets done.
Well, if it fails on the other end of it, it's gonna cause some damage to the back of their property. So that's why I'm sure they're interested in
Yeah.
fixing it.
And they're asking to have it in our, as far as a condition, right? I mean, so
Yes.
they're asking us to make them do it.
Yes, that's correct.
Why wouldn't we?
So
By
without
way,
the
by way of a
ownership-
condition, you're looking for a condition?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
just to keep it
Absolutely.
simple, to
All
move
set.
it
yeah,
forward.
you got it.
I don't,
Right.
all set.
And question number 2,
Sure.
you've had 2 commissioners in front of you express their opinion that the fence should be heightened.
Yes,
I would strongly suggest you go back to the market basket
yes.
and tell them we are putting up a fence.
Yeah,
Because
understood.
this project's got a long way to go, and if you want it to go quickly, you can. If you don't want it to go quickly, you can too,
I understand.
all right?
What I will do is take the comment back, and understanding that we are coming back at your next hearing, hopefully for a vote and an issuance of, the issue will be resolved.
Because I'm
He will
in
be
favor of
speaking
higher
with them.
fence also,
Okay.
so just, we can play nice and we don't have to play nice.
So
I understand.
It's
So
not
as
punitive,
far,
I think it's a legitimate concern raised the
Yeah.
right way. It's
No, no.
I think
nothing
both
punitive
boards
about
are.
it.
I agree, I agree.
So,
Unless you have any-
as far
Yeah, I
as,
do.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Go
Do
ahead.
you want
No,
to
no,
go
no,
ahead?
go ahead.
I just had a couple of questions. I wasn't at the January 10th meeting, but I did review the tape, and I do think that this is a positive project for the area. The loading dock area, is that full depth replacement of the pavement?
Yes, the entire shopping center will be reclaimed and with full depth asphalt
Okay.
pavement.
So there's a couple existing catch basins that are not offline and are not providing any pretreatment? Is it possible to?
The existing catch basins out back, what we have in those is environmental hoods, which is the best that we can to kind of retrofit that. What we have done is in the loading dock areas is added additional treatment to any runoff within those loading dock areas by going through the trench drain to a hydrodynamic particle separator and then outlet into the drain line.
Okay. But the existing, I guess the one that I was looking at, it looks like the roof drainage is connected to it, which is clean water, but that would kind of send everything kind of directly into the
You're not gonna get any
wetlands.
suspended solids out with running water through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have an answer?
Excuse me?
Do we have an answer? Pat, you all set?
So we have to remember, it's a redevelopment project, so we have to look at the net improvement, so reduction of pavement all by itself is improvement.
No, I agree.
This-
I think
this
I think
upfront is an
overall it
improvement.
is
Yes.
But
it is
this
improved.
This is another thing we can find out why it was ruled out.
And again, it was reviewed, Horsley Whitman went through the review itself, and they felt that the appropriate treatments that we were doing and taking care of in the back were subject to their satisfaction.
But to Marissa's point, I agree that if the front is sheet flow runoff off a parking lot with none of the building drainage into it, so you're slowing it down across the lot itself, and then capturing it along an edge and holding it back and treating it and conveying it. This is different than that. This is literally a bunch of point sources, lots of acreage of roof area running out through several roof drains that run through the drainage system. The question is, each of those roof drains that run through a catch basin, could you convert, why didn't you convert a catch basin to a manhole and put a parallel catch basin next to it to do the TSS site drainage work and let the roof drains run through the conveyance line? Why wouldn't you have done that?
There are a lot of utilities back there. In addition to drainage and sewer, we have got water, and gas, and there's not a lot of room to try to work all those structures in online with that.
What was Horsley and Witten's charge to review on a redevelopment project? Was it led by the planning board or led by us?
Planning board, planning
Led by
board.
planning board. I agree with Marissa's comment. I believe there is BMPs that can be done by simply converting those basins to manholes. And if you're worried about surface drainage, put an adjacent catch basin in and pipe it into the manhole.
Yeah, then you
Get rid of
some
your TSS, get
pre-treatment.
rid of your trash, get rid of oil and gas separation, and keep the conveyance pipe. Completely agree.
It's a
But it
golden
wouldn't-
opportunity to do that.
You never have another one.
Yeah, you won't. Good point.
Yeah, I think, under the redevelopment, they're required for pre-treatment. So I think, well, you're not required to meet the full TSS removal for that area. You do need to meet the pre-treatment. And then the other question I had was about construction. Is there typically a condition that you're not allowed to have material stockpiles in the riverfront area?
Well, we try to
I know this site is
remove it
challenged.
from buffer zone when you can. And I did work with a condition that at least the 100-foot buffer, keep everything out of the 100-foot buffer. And I know there was some stockpile areas that were
Yeah,
shown.
on a C1 drawing, we showed some designated stockpile areas on the drawing. The next one up from that, there it is.
So these two. So out of the buffer, but in the riverfront.
Yes.
Partially.
Between 100 and 200? I think that's what we typically do.
So.
Yeah, I know this site is challenged with a lot of resource areas, so there's not really a place you
agree.
could
Yeah.
store materials, but
Right, and just for the benefit, the renovation of the redevelopment project is going to occur while the shopping center is still operating too, so it further limits,
Yeah.
places to store and stock materials. The entire front is going to be phased, and what we've discussed at the planning board level is, once a site contractor has been selected and awarded the project, and he understands the building schedule, is to develop a phasing plan on how they plan to attack and approve each section of the parking lot. The good news in all of this is that they're leaning towards a site contractor that did a similar project for them where Market Basket did a full depth reconstruction of the front parking lot in Danvers, at the shopping center in Danvers, and phased the improvement work over time to coincide with the building work, such that it was minimal interruptions to traffic, to people shopping at the shopping center, as well as impacts or conflicts off premise with people entering and exit. So, with that, there needs to be a little bit of flexibility regarding the location of stockpiles, but the standard still needs to be met, that they need to be covered and with
Yeah.
a wattle barrier to ensure that, and again, that all comes part of our weekly inspections, part of the SWIP requirements, is that there is over an acre of disturbance, and we're required to do inspections on a regular basis, and it will be up to us and the contractor to manage that during construction.
Okay. All right, so we want you to address the catch basins in the back of the building. Of changing them over, correct?
I think the goal was to increased TSS or pretreatment mechanisms in the back.
Yeah.
So-
Separate roof drain off from parking lot drain
Yeah, so there's
off. Runoff.
2 catch basins that roof drains are connected to, so make those catch basins offline to provide pretreatment.
Can we show the C2 drawing and maybe
Yeah,
go
sorry.
through this a little bit?
Yep.
So maybe what I was thinking, since everything discharges at a single discharge point in the back, was thinking about prior to that discharge is putting in a mechanical treatment device to get additional treatment prior to outlet into the wetland area.
I mean, that's fine, we'd be treating the roof, but that's fine.
Yeah. Or if you're looking, or is the request to separate the roof runoff and just have an what we're trying not to do is add another discharge point to the project.
Yep.
We were just trying to maintain what was there and recognizing that quote-unquote clean runoff from the roof is is mixing up with pavement runoff and whatnot. I think for this project and to accomplish the goal of some additional treatment, that maybe I'd like to have the flexibility of investigating a inline pretreatment device prior to its outlet into the wetlands, if that would be acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fine with me, I don't wanna speak for everybody else.
Are you comfortable with that too, Joe?
Again, I don't want to lose sight of the fact it's a redevelopment project, so anything we get as an improvement is better than what's there, but the spirit of it, you should look at what you can in fact do. I mean, I'm looking at, make sure, I just counted them on this plan and make sure I'm in the right spot. Can you just zoom out a little bit, Amy?
Yep.
Right here is perfect. You've got a trench going into a manhole, into a manhole, into a manhole, and then that suddenly comes into a manhole, and all this roof drainage goes right into that. If you could integrate, just take that offline and put it next to it, and make that a manhole, put a basin next to it, and there's 4 locations going down the back. You've addressed every one of the potential sources. And you always want to do it as far upgraded as you can. If you wait to the very last point of discharge, you've got the greatest potential for impact and then not performing. So I think that we want to do an increment. I think you want to do it incrementally. I want to see it incrementally and not do it at the very end. And just a cursory review of this plan, seems like there's enough room to do that. And again, it's not a fault of the planning board or the fault of Horsley and Whitman of not picking it up. They weren't asked to consider it. It's something that we would do.
Right.
That's one of the situations where we fall in of, who's leading the review. In this instance, they just didn't consider the sensitivity that we might consider. But I counted real quickly, there's 1, 2, 3, there are 4 locations in the back where I'm talking about doing that. Simply converting a basin that's there now into a manhole and putting a new basin adjacent to it and tie it into that manhole. And it does everything we're asking for it to do.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
all right, so we need to continue anyway.
So moved right here.
No,
I got a question before we do that. I'm sorry.
Back when they redid this.
So
it's just a metal one.
for the scour at the twin 36 RCPs, did we want something? Are we going to condition that they can come back with a design to fix that? Are we okay with that? I just want to make sure, because I forgot where you left it
We
off.
should have them come back with a design.
And not condition, have it part of the filing.
Well, I mean,
Right.
if you condition it, you risk not getting what you want.
That's what I agree. I mean, not that there's lack of faith there, but you run the risk.
You're running a risk. So, it was brought up, it makes perfect sense to us non-engineers.
Maybe as part of the finding of fact, that you could
It
put
should
in there
be.
that we anticipate a modification to address this scouring at the rear of the site.
Okay.
Well, why do we have to wait for a modification? Why can't it just be addressed now?
Additional information required now, make it part of the project.
Make it part of the project.
He doesn't have a design yet. We don't have a design to approve or deny.
So they have to come before us for a modification.
This is a homeowner coming in, and I want to put a pool in my backyard. I don't know when, but I know I'm going to. Do you put in the air conditioner that when you do the pool, come in with a modification? No, we want it up front. We want to know about it. Listen, I think, I don't want to be hasty in putting this out and not getting a complete project. This is a big, big undertaking for the developer, for the owner.
You know, unless there's some reason.
Let's do it right.
Unless there's some reason why ordering this now would somehow harm the project, which that wouldn't be the goal either. But if it can be done reasonably,
If I may.
yes, you may.
As of tonight, it looks like there's going to be some changes to the drawings that needs to occur before the order can be issued. I need to address the sketch. What I will try to do is incorporate in the erosion scouring work repair as part of the revised plan.
That's,
So
that's off-site within an easement, or that's there on your site, and the
On-site.
easement runs in favor of somebody else?
On-site,
the erosion scouring is occurring on-site.
All right, so you
but I
don't need
think-
anybody else's permission?
No,
All right.
so what we'll do is I'll prepare a repair plan, add it as a detail to the drawing set, and then provide Amy and the planning board with an updated set of drawings.
okay.
That's the cleanest way.
I think that's the
I
cleanest
just-
way also, yeah.
I honestly didn't want it on my shoulders to try to, you know, I probably,
That's why we're here, Amy,
You know
we're
what
here
I
to
mean?
do the heavy lifting.
Where the heavy-
That's why you make the big
Is that good,
bucks.
Yeah.
Brent, is that,
big.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
okay.
All right,
I'll move to continue.
so motion to continue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thanks.
Don't
Thanks,
forget
Brian.
the fence.
Thanks, Tom.
It's the least of their problems.
I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next one is enforcement order 39 Court Street.
Alrighty, this is just an update. The latest enforcement order required that, in part, a complete notice of intent be filed in order for fines to cease. A complete NOI was submitted on the 7th of February. The hearing is going to be the 28th, so the next meeting will be considering that application. And the commission stated that it would discuss, you know, the fines and the EO once we have a notice of intent in front of you. So I just wanted to let you know that we've got an NOI that's complete, and their wetland consultant helped prepare that, so
Okay,
it's just by way of update.
very good. Okay,
I didn't think much was gonna be discussed, so, but thanks for coming.
Yeah, I just say like, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we're talking about, sorry, yeah, sorry. We'll get to you. Thanks, Jim.
next one is 113 Bridges Lane.
Okay, now you can come on up. That's okay. All right. So, there was some work done at the front. There's a wetland that I think before the subdivision came about was connected by an intermittent stream that traversed the property. Subdivision went in. I think that intermittent stream got choked off from the upper wetland to the lower wetland. So there's a wetland behind the house, and then there's a wetland in front that drains through a culvert underneath Bridges Lane and then continues on to a downstream wetland. So it is BBW. The homeowner bought the property in 2021, and the wetland in the front is, you know, a depression, and there's some topography there, and he was concerned about, wetlands can smell sometimes, so this one kind of smelled a little bit. And we did talk to DPW, and they have an easement in front of the head wall to the culvert and some distance beyond that into the wetland to do some maintenance. And DPW said, we'll do the maintenance because it needs to be cleaned out. I think sediments was building up inside the pipe. And then, we said, well, let's just do that first and see if that helps. The homeowner went ahead and did some work around that wetland, and we tried to work with the homeowner and the chairman's recommendations to abate that a little bit. At the time, we lost Taylor, so I was down staff, and then in May I was onboarding a new staff, so we weren't able to follow up. A couple months later, the applicant or the homeowner submitted for propane tanks.
Correct.
Propane tanks. And at that point, we knew that there was a wetland behind the house, and we had to figure out, well, how close are the tanks going to be? And then viewing aerial photography, we realized that some more work was done in the back. So in terms of pavement and some outbuildings. So let me pull up. So we have an old as-built plan for the septic system that shows the wetland in the back.
Stick there, Mr. Fowler.
Which side of the street is this house on, when you're driving down from
If you're-
Foster? Is it on the left or the right?
It's on the right.
It's on the right,
It's
okay.
on the right,
Great.
yeah.
Stanley's Stanley's old house? Stanley's old house.
So
Possibly.
here is
First thing.
March of 2022, and some work was done in the front. And then this is May of 2023. So some extension of the driveway. This part of the driveway is a paved pervious, and then there's some extension back here, so within a couple outbuildings. So seeing that, I had to issue an enforcement order, and the homeowner's here. If you want to address the commission, you're free to.
The driveway extension, you're saying it's in the 25 or in the what?
Possibly. I haven't been on site, so the homeowner hasn't been able to schedule something with me for me to get on site. So what I'm seeing is just what I've seen from aerial photography.
So potentially it's in the 25?
Mm-hmm. Could be.
Let me explain something. It's the first house I bought. If I know I have a wetland in my property, I never buy the house. Was my fault. Tyler was my house a couple times. I explained everything to him. I didn't cut no trees. You know what I mean? Whatever tree I took, I got asked for.
No, I know.
I asked for, you know what I mean? I work with him. He say, listen, Tyler, whatever plant, I get a plant here, I will plant, I will do that. You know what I mean? I put the small fence, you can pass by, see it. I have 2 kids with special needs. It's a big house. Amy was there a couple times too.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the big holes, it's very dangerous. I have a couple kids, I have kids with special needs. They can go outside because the hole, I put the fence in there. And the city was never that to clean. If you walk to my house right now, you can't stay outside, it smells so bad. I know it's wetland, but it smells so bad. You can leave, stay outside the house.
What's the hole? What is it? Is it a sinkhole?
It's a wetland.
It's a wetland, like it's a big.
the wetland in the front.
It's crazy, like.
So
It's a wetland in the front.
what he calls a hole is a wetland?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
Is he talking about the front yard or the back yard?
front.
The front yard,
The front
yeah.
yard. I thought we addressed that a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, we put a fence around it. We wanted him to do some wetland markers, and we wanted
Yes,
some of the
I
mulch
bought-
to be removed.
I bought those markets, I have
I
it there.
thought that was, yeah, because I thought that was a dead issue.
Right.
So,
But,
but then we got the backyard now.
right, so
So that's the issue.
Okay.
if the pavement is,
It's, on the back, it's not paved. On the back,
It's some sort of surface.
yeah, it's not paved. What it call? It's not paved. It's what it call?
crush wrap,
Yes, it's not paved. You can. I want to
Okay,
come
so
by
it's-
take a look. It's not paved.
So when are you gonna let us take a visit and look at this?
Are you my wife? I stood about the house. My wife have a big car accident. She can do anything.
Okay, so you don't have to be there when we go and look at it.
I want anytime you want.
Well, that's all we need you to do is say yes.
Yes.
And we'll let our staff go down there, do an inspection, and then we'll know what we're talking about.
Yes, please.
Because right now, we're looking at aerial photographs, we really don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, that's fine, sir.
All right, so you're gonna
Yeah.
give our administrator permission to go on the property
Yes.
and conduct a wetland inspection,
Correct.
on the record.
Okay.
Within the next,
Well, it's.
Whenever you want. He can't be there. He's saying you can go without him being there. He's on
Okay.
on the record giving you permission to access.
If she can be there next week, because I have a plan to bring my wife outside the country because she gave a car accident. She can be next week, anytime next week, because I'm gonna be away
Okay.
a full week.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm
What we
here.
want is, we want Amy to go on the property.
Yes.
Give us a good idea what's going on.
Yes.
And then we can give you the instructions you need.
Okay, sir.
Right?
That's fine.
That way, otherwise, we don't know what's going on.
That's fine.
We can't tell from here what's going on over there.
Okay, that's fine.
All right?
Yes, that's fine.
All right.
so we'll.
Good? So we continue it?
Yep.
And you do your assessment, you do what you
Yep.
do,
Okay.
and come back?
And we're working on good faith and making progress, when there's no fines ticking yet, everything's, so.
Okay.
yeah,
No, nothing.
let's
We're just gonna let Amy,
Okay, please.
Continue fact-finding it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
all right, so tell your neighbors you're gonna have a visitor,
Yeah.
so they don't call the police, okay? So you got a car that says Town of North Andover on the door?
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so
All right.
what do you, continue at what, 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
To the 28th and,
28th for status?
yeah,
So moved.
okay.
Yeah, because Taylor kept the Kevlar vest when he left, right?
Yes, because Taylor, he was there. He's know everything, almost everything. The pave I did. He say it's okay. The fence, he say it's okay. One thing is bother me was the mulch I put there. I want to make sure they're looking good because the front of my house. And he said you gotta move that. But that was October, November. It's cold. You know what I mean? The guys I found to remove cost me like $6,000 to do that. I say, you know what I mean? It is what it is. If it can be done at 28.
Well, I'll get out there next week.
Okay.
I'll take a peek. And really, the back is the main
Okay, that's
issue,
fine.
which may be,
And then we can tell you what we think,
Okay, please.
all right? We'll try to help you out,
Oh, please, I will appreciate that.
all right?
Thank
All right.
all right, so we're continuing to the February 28th meeting,
Okay, that's fine.
which I don't know if you're going to be around for that.
Okay, I will do my best to get you waiting for you in my house or whatever it is
Okay.
for you. I need
All right.
to get this resolved, please.
All right. Okay, all right, so I'll be out there next week.
All right, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
thanks
Thank-
for
thank
coming.
you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks.
Next one is, 242-1674, bond deduction for Mill Pond.
Okay, so, Commission had approved an invasive management plan for a section of the Mill Pond as part of the project that was a repave project, like, they did like a whole site repaving and had some increase in impervious, so the commission required some mitigation there. So we had sent them back and said, you need to do more. There's, the invasives and was sort of taking over this section. So they engaged Essex Horticultural to do that work. We approved the invasive removal plan, and it's a 2 to 3 year plan to remove and then treat. There's a remaining bond of $2,500. We have 1 year of management under our belts, and they're looking to reduce that bond. And I cautioned the applicant that you usually only let half go, so I said they'd have to, submit a formal request for that. Don't think they're at the meeting tonight, so, but if you have questions, I can try to answer them.
How's the
what's left for
invasive?
them to do to get into compliance?
So it sounds like they've done a bulk of removal. I think they said that they removed about 25 yards of above-ground invasive woody biomass from the target area. And, let's see. So, they report that work is substantially complete at this point. Our next visit will occur in the late summer, early fall of 2024 to address persistent resprouts and do any treatments at that point. And then they'll do that again for 2025, so.
Is this enough, will the amount of the bond remaining be enough to cover that work if necessary?
That I don't know. I mean, I don't know sort of what their contract structure is, but I think they want the money to try to pay for part of what's already gone on. I don't know.
They've done a really good job, according to Amy, so far. And the company that's doing the work is very reputable. So, like she says, they're probably looking for somebody to kind of do the other side. They've done the work satisfactory to you so
Yeah,
far.
no.
So I would be inclined to give them half.
And it's working so far.
Yeah.
So
This-
far, so good.
And the project was only vegetation management.
Right.
They brought this in on their own volition, not a violation, not an enforcement action.
Well, we were dissatisfied with how restoration of this target area was part of the order of conditions.
To another project.
No, to the paving project.
Okay.
Right, and so we denied the certificate of compliance because we weren't satisfied. And so they worked with Taylor at the time to, target the area and figure out an invasive species management plan. They came up with that, the commission approved it, and then we said, go do that and, carry it out for the 2 or 3 years, and then we'll circle back for the COC. So they're doing a much more concerted effort. I don't think
We're
they
not
were.
talking acres, we're talking like hundreds of square feet, right?
Yes, it's, yeah.
I think I think the amount that we would hold back would cover probably 3 or 4 more applications if necessary. So if we were to cut it in half, that would give us, and there's no other physical work, it's
No,
literally just
that's
vegetation
just-
management.
Yes.
I'm
That's
fine.
it.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Joe.
Yeah.
No objection.
Sean?
If the chair wants to do it, I'm with him.
So moved.
Wait, we got another commissioner over here.
Oh, wait, I
I'm all the way
apologize.
down
So,
here.
Marissa, you know what it is?
Marissa,
That chair's empty.
we gotta
I
we gotta get you over here on this
know,
side.
right.
I would
Yeah, I'm fine with
gladly
it.
sit over there.
Yeah,
Nobody likes to sit next to Jack.
you can,
I'll take a shower next time.
There you go. All right, so motion?
yes.
Second.
I move that we reduce the bond by
Louis,
50%.
I
believe you're at the horse races.
Yeah, there you go.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Okay.
All righty.
We're not doing a decision, right?
No,
Okay.
so we want to go to the
Bylaw discussion?
the bylaw, and then we still got that, do you ever do that letter?
Yeah, I got the letter.
Okay. let's-
So, you asked for this to be on the agenda. So I
Yes.
placed it on the agenda,
So
and
we started a subcommittee with Al, Joe, and Sean. And there's been a discrepancy in the verbiage of the thing that's triggering zoning to do something that they really shouldn't be doing, but according to the way it's written, he's right. So what the issue is what the definition of a resource area and the definition of a buffer zone.
right.
Let me, since I'm the one that stirred this up, let me just explain
Yeah.
the way I see it. In both the bylaw and the regs, jurisdiction is described including resource area and buffer zone. However, and I understand the jurisdiction, I understand the definition of resource area, I understand the definition of buffer zone, I know the difference in the soil, so I'm not confused by that. But the trouble is, there are people in the system that are confused by it. And if you go to the zoning, regs,
Yeah.
195-7.1, contiguous buildable area. This is
Yes.
where the issue is.
Right.
And this is where the confusion is.
Yep.
In zoning, it's described as CBA, as of April 28, 1986, the area of any new lot created, exclusive of area in the street or recorded way open to public use, 75% of minimum lot area required for zoning shall be contiguous land other than land located within a line identified as wetland resource areas in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, et cetera.
And our bylaw, that's the second piece is where it's operable, right?
But here's where the problem is, and I kept this was in front of us tonight, you might be able to bring this up. 456 Summer Street. This is a good example of where the confusion is, and what I'm trying to solve, what I'm hoping that we can solve on the subcommittee. If you look at that in front of you, it shows a flag line,
Yep, wetland flag.
which is what? The flag line, but the
Edge of
flag line
wetland.
is the resource area delineation. So when you're looking at the flag line, the right-hand side is the resource area, the left-hand side is the bordering vegetated wetland. We have a 25, we have a 50, and then from 50 to 100, we have what is considered to be area that we allow activities. We allow construction, we allow grading, we allow everything to go on in that area from 50 to 100.
Yeah.
But the building inspector's office is not allowing that area to be considered as contiguous buildable area when they calculate the lot. The building inspector has said that area is resource area and cannot be counted towards contiguous buildable area. That's not correct, and you know it's not correct. Bordering vegetated wetland is not resource area. They have different characteristics, different soils, different definitions. We ought not to be playing that game of saying you can't, we're saying you can put a house there, you can take this house, and you can put that house in that
Between 50
area,
and 100.
but you can't use that area to calculate CBA.
No, I know.
It makes all our orders of conditions a joke.
Again,
And so what I know I'm getting animated, I apologize.
No, I get it.
And then it's further exacerbated by a memo that was published by Christine O'Connor, November 30th, 2022. The issue on the memo, I'm reading from the memo, the issue whether any part of the 100-foot wetland buffer zone can count towards CBA calculation,
Right.
question mark.
Right.
Christine, in her opinion, says, and I'm just going to read the last two paragraphs because it's 2.5 pages. When the town zoning code makes reference to a wetland resource area, both the provision of the code and the town bylaw should be construed as being harmonious with one another. Such a reading furthers the argument that "and" in the town zoning was intended as a connector to two things. So the conclusion, the town council's conclusion is, for the foregoing reasons, any land located within the line identified as wetland resource areas cannot count towards CBA calculation. She went from calling it buffer zone to, on the very last page, calling it wetland resource
But
areas.
it is. That's what our bylaw calls it.
Well, then our bylaw wrong.
No,
Okay,
it's
so-
not. No, it's not.
Because that's not, you can't have resource area on both sides of the resource area delineation line.
Calm down, animation. I'm the one who usually gets the animated.
Well, it's my turn.
The bylaw is correct because we debated it when we added that provision when Mike Howard was our administrator. The question was, and it was brought to light with TDJ versus the town of North Andover, is the strength of our bylaw was in fact that we had the ability to regulate and create 25 no-builds and 50-foot within the buffer zone.
Yes, right.
Therefore, they are the resource. The intent was always to not account for 25, 50. Theoretically, the 50 is what would matter. The 25 is almost moot. In the zoning for CBA purposes, it's the no disturb area within our buffer. So our bylaw is from a wetlands perspective, from our commission perspective, is 100% accurate. I offer clarifying language via email. The flaw is, and by the way, the building inspector's interpretation is not wrong. I agree with Christine. As written,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
made the right call.
Yes, yes.
But what needs to happen is the zoning board needs to change, the zoning bylaw needs to be changed to say
Carve
buffer
out.
zones up to the point of the 50-foot
Foot
no.
build zone.
I mean,
The situation is when you calculate and create a lot for contiguous buildable lot, they haven't delineated the line yet. That's their problem. Puts the
Yes.
burden on them.
Right.
But the intent was always to not count up to the no build, and everything else in buffer zone to let it count. That was the intent.
So
And I
that's,
sat
That-
with.
but that's the point that I'm
with
saying.
With the selectmen when that was being
so,
debated.
so Joe's agreeing with me, but we have different remedies.
Right.
So, because,
Well, I'm not
because
gonna throw, I don't wanna throw out our piece, because our piece is 100% correct with what we do.
I don't agree that a resource area and a buffer zone are the same thing.
Can I make a suggestion? You know, we have the subcommittee, but we have not met.
Yeah, I don't even know how
So
this happened.
why don't we get together, sit down, and do what subcommittees do?
Well, I would love to,
Well, good.
but, all right, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I agree, let's continue it and meet, but let's do that.
Yeah.
Because we have to get, if we've got to make any change to the language, we have to get it in front of town meeting this year.
Yeah, well, let's do it next week. I'm traveling the following week, but I'm around.
Are you available the rest of this week? Or is
What's
next,
that, Thursday and Friday? Yeah, I mean,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you got school off on Saturday, right?
I can flunked out of school.
Actually, I have a meeting tomorrow night, and I have friends coming up for the weekend, so
Oh,
I am not available until next week.
All right,
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
we'll email and do dates,
yeah.
all right? 'Cause
But
we-
Monday's a holiday.
But, yeah, well, it's a holiday for
I
some.
mean, unless you don't care about me meeting with you guys, that's all right.
Well, you wanna be part of this? Are you
I
kidding
just-
me?
But you understand
I absolutely
the problem here?
understand.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, the
I mean, I see
the
it
building
from-
department,
I
the
see it from
zoning,
both
you know,
angles.
I'm sitting there and I'm
What I'm
looking,
afraid
I
of
mean,
is,
what if we changed our bylaw to say that between 0 and 50 is the resource area? And be that clear about it, so that,
because it's wrong. Look up, you're a
But it-
you're a
but-
scientist. I'm gonna,
but you're treating it,
but you are a scientist.
Yes.
You look at this line that says 7A, 6A, 5A. On one
I know,
side
that's-
is the resource
that's-
area, on the
I
other
know.
side is the BVW. We can't have it both ways. It's just plain wrong. It doesn't make any sense. Scientifically, it doesn't make any sense.
I
The
know,
soils are different.
but there's a
so
lot
it-
of science behind what buffer zones do, and.
But they're not a resource area for purposes of what we do.
But you have the ability to name it that way.
You could call it a duck's ass too if you want to.
You can be more restrictive in your
It doesn't make it,
bylaws.
we can't tell people, you can put a house there. You can put this house right there in the area from 50 to 100. That
Yeah,
house can go
right,
in.
yes.
But you can't use it to calculate your CBA.
I agree with you.
So how do we?
I agree with you, but, so what I'm saying is, instead of calling the entire 100-foot buffer zone a resource area, call a 0 to 50 the resource area, and then the 50 to 100 a jurisdictional area that you'd still have to file for.
Okay, like I said,
Do you
you
know
can
what I'm
change the
saying?
names if you want, but that's still it's still gotta work downstream. It's still gotta get to the building department.
if we
The
made
building,
that
the building
change,
inspector has been denying lots
Yep.
and has been appealed to
Right.
to the ZBA and has been overturned on 3 occasions on this very same subject.
Right, 'cause, yeah.
Is it
But it's-
possible, sorry.
No, it's
to
okay,
interrupt.
good.
No, is it possible to have one resource area as the state jurisdictional wetland area, and then the other jurisdiction as the North Andover Conservation
so
jurisdiction?
our bylaw is written, the very first preamble is Wetlands Protection Act
Yep.
in the regulations. And then we go further with regards to certain brook names. And so in ephemeral pools, we define them in much finer grain to really map them out. The trip up here is, I think it all went back to Dave Bardwell's house where they used the contiguous buildable area, where they created a lot, justifying a waiver of the 50. It was all back in that era. What we wanted to do was let them know that the buffer zones up to the 50 were sacred.
So we
Don't
have,
count
so
them.
we have the 2550. We went to the SJC affirmed TDJ development, we won that. The 2550, everybody knows that's sacred, but I'm talking 50 to 100.
Which was never the intent.
Bingo.
So,
So that has to be repaired, so that when it's not Amy, when it's somebody else in town hall,
So
because there are a lot.
I have-
the zoning regs simply,
Yeah,
by
I know,
reference,
but-
says discount the wetland
discount the
stuff.
wetland resource areas
That's all it
as
says,
defined
discount.
under the state
So if
regulations
we
and the
redefine
and the
ours-
bylaw. But can I just introduce another problem because the 200-foot riverfront area is a resource area.
That's right.
Is a wetland resource area under the state regs. So if that's a problem, because under the regulations, the first 100 feet of the riverfront is sacred.
Yeah, the inner
Right.
riparian.
But it's not a buffer.
It's not a buffer, it's a resource area.
It's a resource area because it's the
Right.
outer
So it's a
riparian
bona
zone.
fide resource area under the state.
But we're not
So
talking, but I'm not talking about
I know that,
riverfront.
but
I'm-
I still think that could be a problem for the zoning as well,
That-
because they would, like, Ray Street subdivision would never have happened if that was interpreted correctly.
That's why we have a wetland scientist on staff, to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Right, I'm just,
When a plan comes into you, and you go out and you review the resource area delineation
yeah,
line,
right,
you know what it is, and you tell the applicant what it
Right.
is.
But all that
Right,
aside,
but
I
I'm
agree
just
with
saying-
Amy.
I'm just
is
saying that-
Because by reference, the zoning bylaw refers to our bylaw, and by reference, our bylaw says all the local things, plus the Wetlands Protection Act. What Amy's saying is,
So what would be wrong with?
what Amy's saying is, riverfront
Yeah.
is in fact a resource area in the state law.
Not
Therefore,
talking-
Ray Street never would have happened,
never would have happened.
because none of those lots had the contiguous
That's
upland
right.
area.
That's right,
Yet, it was just missed.
It was just-
missed.
Well, they were,
interpretation.
they were built before the Riverfront Act.
No,
Some of them were,
some of them were. I mean, we're talking about the
Yeah, I mean, most of
recent
them,
section.
yeah.
The most recent river,
Right.
Ray Street down
Right,
the
right, right, the most
east end,
recent,
the east
right.
end.
It seems that the sticking point is, we're all in agreement.
It's-
The 25 and 50 is sacred.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not an argument.
There's not an argument. You just gotta get some verbiage, the 50 to 100 can now be calculated in a continuous lot.
Well, it's buildable area. We issue
Right.
orders of conditions on a regular basis saying, yes, you can build the house there.
Yep.
You just don't go over the 50. So if we're telling them they can build a house there and a driveway and a septic
Right,
system,
yep.
then obviously it's buildable area. Because
No, I
we're saying
know,
you
I
can
know.
build it. So we can't contradict
I
ourselves.
agree.
So I'm just asking, how do we
It's a
fix it?
problem.
We have to fix it. Huh?
Our subcommittee will figure it out and make a recommendation.
All right,
Yeah, why
okay.
don't- Yeah, and I don't want to beat this because we actually can get out of it before 9.
I'm half Italian,
Why-
I can't.
I don't want to do this piecemeal either. I don't want to.
Me too.
I don't know where this
Can't.
came from. I don't know where this came from.
I'm just
all by
sitting-
itself.
Just the good now.
Okay.
All right, thank you for listening
No,
to me.
that's good. No, I know.
Thank you
it's
all
a
for listening to
problem.
me.
We just have one more thing. that we
So
want.
you guys had previously given, or directed me to write a letter to the planning board asking the board to revoke their special permit for 40 Flagship Drive.
Yes, we have.
I have it drafted. I don't know if you want to review it, or I could email it to you, but this is something you've already given me the green light to do. I've drafted it.
Can you email it?
Yes, I can.
Because
Yes.
Amy gave it to,
Council?
Council, and
kind of waddling somewhere.
Well,
I don't think we need town council. I
okay.
mean, we could create. we could
I don't
create
either. I don't either.
We
I
can
agree.
create, we can create our own letter to the planning board.
We're
Why do
capable
we
of,
have to get legal?
So I guess the letter speaks for itself. The action that we're asking would ultimately require, I would order the town
Well,
council.
it is it's gonna be in her lap one way or another, because the planning board's gonna defer it to her anyway. So I guess it doesn't matter, I'll just send it off. I'll,
Send it.
send it to us?
Yep,
Send it to us.
yep.
Yeah, because, I mean, I understand, I tend to simplify things sometimes, but this doesn't seem like a complicated matter. The site's in complete and total non-compliance, and they have a
Right.
special permit that should be revoked,
And it's for sale. And it's listed.
and it's for sale.
Yep.
Far more
Yeah,
complicated.
they're
The
showing
strength of a
picture of
permit
Disney
issue, they got financing, there's all kinds of convoluted situations where
So,
we revoke it. We got to be
So
real
revoke,
careful.
so revoke it, just make it, we have to do something, we have to look like we're doing something. We can't just sit back like this and say, well, Jesus Christ, that's too bad, it's just not our problem.
And the fines are
I'm in
according.
favor of it, but
What do
doing
we
it
have
the
to
right
now?
way.
Well, it starts with a well-written letter. Amy's good at writing letters.
30
Gotta be
grand, I don't
thousands,
know,
right?
thousands, like tens of thousands.
Anything else?
No,
We
that's
generate
it.
enough money
Just
to,
the,
let's get enough money so we all go to Aruba.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.